Hello and welcome to Builder from the Helm series. My name is Grady Wulff, Market Analyst at Builder, and I'm thrilled today to be joined by Camplify CEO Justin Hales. Now, Camplify debuted on the ASX in June 2021 at a time, arguably, the best time to list on the ASX for such a company, when we were locked in, international borders were closed and COVID-19 was ravaging Australia and everyone wanted a simple outback adventure in a caravan or a camper van. Exactly what this company offers. Now, the company is Australia's largest peer-to-peer connecting marketplace that connects people who own camper vans and caravans with potential hirers. Now, they've already expanded around Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Spain, all different locations around the world with much more scalability in sight. Now, the company aims to become the world's largest and most trusted camper van and caravan marketplace, and they're well on their way to doing so. The March quarter was a very strong quarter for the company, yet again showing extreme scalability, with their gross transaction value rising 269%, and the company posted their second consecutive quarter with positive net cash from operating activities. So again, very exciting time. Justin, this is massive growth, and thanks for joining us today. Now, you did debut in a time where people said camping and caravanning was all the rage as international borders were shut. So tell us how the market has received you since debut.
We've always actually had more people wanting to go away camping and caravanning than we had available stock.
Wow.
So we've always had this demand, and we've seen continual CAGR over the last 5 years of basically 100%.
Wow.
So we've got this really strong demand. I think even before COVID there was this attitude and process where people wanted to disconnect, they wanted to go back to nature, they wanted to actually have a great family holiday, and so that's just really continued and been accelerated through COVID. So we've seen that continue even as international borders have opened.
Absolutely. And how did you even come up with the idea of Camplify?
Yeah, so actually what happened was I was looking to go away on a caravanning holiday. My wife said to me, I've never been camping. Yep. I don't want to stay in the tent. Can you find
glamping.
Exactly. Find us a really nice caravan or camper van to go away in. I started looking, and the company's found in Newcastle. Mm-hmm. Couldn't find anything in Newcastle. I would have had to drive to the international airport to pick something up because that was the market. And so when I looked at that, looked at the pricing, I looked at the way it was structured, I said, this doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And so as I was describing this to her and I was walking around my neighbourhood, I realised I'd walked past 100 vans parked on the side of the road. Wow. And thought it'd be great if I could just rent my neighbours.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it started from.
That's awesome. And so New Zealand has been a particularly strong growth area for Camplify. What do you attribute the successful penetration of this market to?
Yeah, so we made 2 acquisitions in New Zealand. So from CHL, who's subsequently bought Apollo and merged those 2 companies together. So we bought MyWay and Share a Camper from them. And so what we found in that market is that ever since the international borders opened, they've gone back to pre-COVID levels. And continue to rise. So not only have we seen the amount of people interested in that region just skyrocket, but prices have actually increased as well. Uh-huh. So we've got this mix of where we've seen higher nightly rates as well as a real strong demand to go back to that market. So we've seen huge growth in that market. The actual rates that we're seeing for an RV are up to sort of $300 per day. So it's quite significant. The average booking value is about almost $1,000 more than what we see in Australia. And the demand is just continuing to grow there as people want to go back to that destination. And I think during COVID, people started thinking about what's on my bucket list. And New Zealand, for a lot of people, particularly in Europe and in the US, is high on that list. We do love that crossing the ditch to New Zealand. Now, you just mentioned MyWay, the new insurance division. How has that added to the product scope of Camplify, and how does that diversify the company? Yeah, so we've launched an insurance division. We did that through our acquisition of a company called Paul Camper. So they had an insurance broking division, and we were sort of on the same path with them to be able to actually create what's called an MGA, so a managing general agency. It's kind of a level above an insurance broker, and it works with the underwriters to actually create the policy and customise and create something that's actually perfect for your demographic in your market. So we've gone through the process and we've converted that brokerage into an MGA in Europe and established this division called MyWay. So it's Insurance MyWay. Yeah. And so it's focused on the RV sector and particularly our customer who are both the hirers and the owners in the platform. So as we start to roll that out and integrate that into the platform, it'll begin in Europe, and then eventually we want that as a globally integrated product throughout our platform. So that's kind of the trajectory we're on with that division.
Awesome. And you talked kind of a little bit about diversification, but the whole concept is very niche. Are there any other plans of diversification further beyond camp events?
Well, I think what we've done is we've built a platform that's very agnostic. So right from the start, when I started building the platform, I wanted to make sure that it was an item and a unit of measure. So it could be a camper van, it could be a motorbike, it could be, recently we just moved into 4-drives. So we're seeing a huge demand for that. So we see that it's a unit of measure and then how long it's rented for. So we feel as though there's opportunities to expand into lots of other areas, but we're still really at the beginning of this space, and there's so much more to be able to grow just in the markets that we're in. Realistically, in the Australian market alone, we have just under 10,000 vehicles listed on the platform, but there's over 800,000.
Oh wow!
So there's a huge amount of growth to happen in this market still.
Yeah, it's an awesome concept, especially given the post-COVID era and during COVID as well, where everyone just wanted to be at one with nature post-lockdowns. But talking about the post-COVID era, now there's no denying I have been seeing on Instagram every day, everyone is in Europe. Has this hurt your demand at all, given everyone's getting back on planes and not so much choosing camp events, or have you felt the demand go down a little bit?
Yeah, so really? Interestingly, when we first looked at the acquisition of Paul Camper, they're the biggest in Europe. So we thought, okay, this is a great diversification. We can be in lots of countries, service lots of customers wherever they want to go. And that's really where we want to head with the company, is that you can go to any country and book a Camplify there. What we've actually seen, however, is that prices are crazy expensive. And the average person who is our customer can't really afford to take a family of 4 to Europe. Or even to Bali or the US or wherever it might be. So that's actually our core demographic. And so what we've seen is that as prices are getting higher and everything else is becoming an issue for that family economic unit, this actually becomes a much more appealing domestic holiday. So we feel as though we're really well positioned to be able to service both of those customer demands.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good product mix, and especially with cost of living pressures definitely biting at all of our hips. It's a really strong product mix. Now, you have already expanded internationally. Are there any new regions on the horizon for further expansion?
So we've got a lot more to grow in Europe. So at the moment we're in kind of the UK and 3 European countries. We want to grow that to more. So we feel as though once we have this platform stability between the two companies merged together, which will happen at the end of the year, we have the integration of the insurance product into that platform, and we have a European-wide offering. There'll be a lot of opportunities for us to continue to expand throughout that European location. And there's a lot more locations around the globe that are perfect for this type of environment. So we see this huge amount of country opportunity for us, and we've invested in technology so that we can scale. And so we're really positioning ourselves to be able to do that.
I know a lot of people love a road trip across the US, so it might be on the market for you. And what does the next 12 months look like for Camplify, and why should an investor who may or may not have heard about you consider adding Camplify to their portfolio?
I think what we've done is we've focused on the scale. And so we've invested in technology. If you look at our numbers, our percentage of marketing cost versus revenue is going down. Our percentage of employee benefits versus revenue is going down. So, they're great examples of us scaling the business, and we're continuing to grow quite significantly. So there's heaps of demand. We're in the sort of right place, right time, I think, for the economic situation that we're in, and we're also seeing that growth in scale. So, for us, we see it as really the perfect position to be able to expand.
Absolutely. Well, it's a very exciting time, and I know a lot of people I know have actually used Camplify, so both investment-wise and the actual system itself. So thank you so much for joining me, Justin. And that was another episode of From the Helm with Bell Direct. My name's Grady, Wulff, and I hope you enjoyed that episode.